Previously on board.
Phone from London.
On radio.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, how you doing, Dan?
All right, and you, boss. Nice to chat to you. Nice to catch up with you on balls and at the Paralympics.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Just having at the Aquatic Centre today and hoping for some big news in the pool tonight. We've got Natalie Dutoy, Shireen Sapiro and Charles Bower, as well as Emily Gray. So hopefully something good coming out of that.
And we could end up having double gold medal winners in that case at the end of tonight. I've got a little feeling about tonight that is going to be big news tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly. Charles Bower has done so well so far. And I think Natalie really starts on her main events now. Her freestyle and individual medley to come up. And yeah, I think, the things will start to happen now. But so far, excellent performance by Team South Africa. 13 medals on the table. That's 2 gold, 5 silver and 6 bronze. So all looking good.
Awesome stuff. I just want to find out, obviously Andy is legendary in the world of Paralympic sports, obviously your work you've done with things like wheelchair basketball, and we're involved with Nedbank. Are you still involved with them?
Yes, I am. I'm still the head of group sponsorships at Nedbank and very proud to be one of the sponsors of the Paralympic team. And we've got a whole group of the Paralympic sponsors over here. Everybody's just enjoying and seeing, just what return they get out of these incredible athletes. So it's all marvellous and all good in London.
All right, no doubt you are watching and keeping a close eye on the wheelchair basketball, because I know that you've got a soft spot for that.
Absolutely. It's been very difficult. I think once again we see the value of international competition, and I just think that our team is so deprived. Certainly we're the best team in Africa, there's no doubt, but it's another level, and they've acquitted themselves well. I think they've learned a huge amount. A very, very tough opposition. Top 12 teams in the world are here, and so far we haven't won a game, but some good performances, and South Africa definitely need a lot more work on their shooting, but the team, they've done well, and I think great experience.
All right, what just so that people might know, obviously everyone knows who Andy Scott is, but what is your role there with the Olympic team and at the Olympics? Are you there representing sponsors? Are you there in a team capacity, or are you sort of multitasking?
Yeah, I'm multitasking. I'm actually assisting SASCOC as a sponsor liaison, which is something that I've done for forever in the day. And, ex-Paralympian myself, part of the family, and this is my 8th games in one way or another, and certainly, out there just doing my bit for the athletes wherever I can, and obviously for the sponsors, for the team, and and for the guys on the radio who phone me.
Absolutely, and that's why we phoned you. And I was watching, I think it was on Sky somewhere during the week. They were saying, like, with the sponsorship, and the reason why they have the two obviously juxtaposition next to each other is because a lot of the sponsors, they basically piggyback on the Olympic Games with the Paralympics, so the Paralympics benefits from that. But more and more sponsors are sponsoring the Paralympics only. They had a story about Sainsbury's over there who only go for the Paralympics. They didn't go for the Olympic Games, only the Paralympics. And apparently it's realizing something like 15 billion, is it pounds or euros or dollars, for the Paralympics this year, which is a record amount. So it's not just a sort of an after the Olympics event. It's massive in its own right.
It's become incredibly big, and the difference between Beijing and the London Paralympics is the people who've come to the London Paralympics are here because they've paid for their tickets, they want to be here, they're determined to support. Whereas in Beijing, there was obviously a lot of tickets given away to ensure the support. So the people have come out in their droves. The stadiums are absolutely jam-packed. Any sponsor who sponsored this particular Paralympics, and I would imagine any going forward, are certainly going to yield tremendous returns. It's just been unbelievable to see the growth. And as I say, there's not a seat to be had in the house. And Olympic Park is just as packed as it was for the Olympic Games. A wonderful vibe, and everybody's there for the right reason.
Andy, I'd just like to know, back home, I can tell you that there's a lot of hype around Oscar and his comments. What is the mood like within Team South Africa? Has it affected the athletes in any way?
Look, I think, obviously, Oscar must have been hugely disappointed before. I haven't actually had a chance to catch up with him personally, so I don't really want to comment on that. But the situation with Oscar, SASCOC are handling that, and I think the mood with the athletes, they all kind of felt everybody was, a bit taken aback. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things to be taken out of that, and the first thing to take out of it is, Oscar broke the world record the night before. He ran a little slower in that particular event. I think the outburst if I can just quote Tubby Reddy from Sascock, Oscar has apologized for the platform that he used, but I think he's still sticking to what his opinion is. A little unfortunate perhaps, but heat of the moment stuff, and it was a huge situation in Oscar's career and his life. The irony is that Oscar has been the guy that's inspiring all of these new kids coming through on the blades. So there's a huge amount and lots of angles, but I'm quite sure that we haven't heard the last of Oscar at these games yet. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was purely a timing issue, and I think that's something that everyone realizes now. One of the awkward things about it, though, and this is where I think the true champion in Oscar will probably come out. But as we were talking to Dr. Ross Tucker earlier, we spoke to Tim Noakes about the whole blade issue. But with this thing out there now, it's as we say, well, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because he goes into his next event against an athlete with longer blades again, and he goes and wins. It almost kind of goes against his argument then. So it's something that he's going to have to try and focus his focus on that. But if he does go and win his next two events and there are athletes with the longer blades, it kind of makes his argument a little bit difficult. So hence the bad timing of the whole thing.
Yeah, as I say, it's not, I don't want to get too caught up in the technicalities. I've got a lot of my own, obviously one looks at it, and I think this thing with the blades is going to be a really interesting thing going forward. I personally also have an opinion, for what it's worth, is that, Oscar's been 100, 200 and 400, and he's obviously, bulked down, as it were, to become a 400 and go for the stamina rather than the power. And very few runners are able to compete in the 100, the 200, and of course the 400. I think the 400 is going to be the interesting one. And I think, as I said, I don't think we've heard the last of Oscar as yet. And the interesting thing is on Sky News and on quite a few stations, they're now saying he's no longer the fastest man on no legs. They must remember that he still holds the world record. It was a slower race that he ran. The 400 is obviously what the hype is all about. And I think that Oscar will come good. And I feel for the man. I think, he's been under incredible media pressure in London. Wherever he goes, these games have been about Oscar Pistorius. There's absolutely no doubt. And I think one must also, understand that the guy is also human. And to take all that pressure, media just hounding him, everybody hounding him for autographs, he can't move. And I guess, at the end of the day, that's got to pay its toll somewhere along the line.
We are currently 23rd on the log, and if you compare to Beijing, we finished 6th with 30 medals. Now, you said 13, well, this is 12. But would you say that we can reach that target this year, or is this too soon to judge?
It's too soon to judge. We're on 13. We've got another one today, another bronze from Michael Lawrence in the shot put. But as I just said, Natalie's got 4 events to come, and they are her bigger events. The events that Natalie swam, she had qualified for by choice. Hilton Langenhofen, I think, is going to produce some medals. Ilse Hayes will produce some medals, in my opinion. There's quite a few athletes out on the field and track. It's still fairly early days. I'm not sure that we're going to do as well on the medal table as we did in Beijing. That'll be a tall order, but I still believe that there's a lot of medals to be had. It's obviously the mix of those medals, the quality versus quantity. And I still think this team can produce the goods.
And look at that medals table, Andy. China on 112, and then Great Britain, they had a fantastic games a couple of weeks ago. They're second on 63, and it just goes to show when you plow a bit of cash and make sure the facilities are correct and in top notch, you produce the goods.
Oh, absolutely. There's simply no doubt about that. And they have invested a huge amount in this British team. And then, of course, to get the British public out here. I mean, an athlete literally can come stone last in an event, and the applause and the adulation and the admiration and all the stuff that goes with it, they have just been unbelievable. England or Great Britain have just really pulled out all the stops here, and I've never seen anything like it, and it's a joy to me. I've tried to be the crusader for Paralympics for so long, believing that it could get to this level. Where it goes from here is yet to be seen, but this has just been outstanding, and it's taken Paralympics to a brand new level.
From a South African point of view, from sponsors, obviously that's where you're very, very involved. Is it also the same? I mean, are a lot of our Olympic sponsors also doubling up with the Paralympics, or is it all sort of kind of part of one package, or are you finding more and more brands are wanting to focus only on the Paralympic aspect when it comes to the Olympics?
Yeah, I know Sascock did sign up a couple of sponsors for the Olympics, but if I could just tip my hat to Mercedes-Benz, Nedbank, Pick n Pay, South African Airways, Sasol, Sun International, Telkom, Vodacom, and of course the apparel sponsor Urki. And together with them, you've got the National Lotteries Board as well as Sport and Recreation. So it's a powerhouse of sponsors that have got behind the Paralympic team. Some of those have doubled up. I know Sasol are a team sponsor of the Olympic team as well. And yeah, but I think all of the sponsors have seen the value. We've had nothing but really good reports from their various representatives who've been here. And yeah, this is what it's all about. It's the investment, it's the ROI, and that's yet to be seen. But certainly, these are genuine sponsors. The days of plowing money into sport for people with disabilities as a social responsibility issue have gone. This is a marketing issue, and certainly these partners are getting their buck, their bang for buck on their investment.
Well, I mean, an event like this kind of brings focus on disabilities and the various challenges that people in wheelchairs and people with physical disabilities do have, but then it does end, and sometimes it tends to sort of be forgotten. I know last year we did an exercise with Graham Jones and sent somebody around to the Gauteng area to test how wheelchair friendly places in Joburg and Pretoria were. It wasn't very good feedback. You've travelled to London a lot, so you must know. Have they improved it specifically because they've had the games, or has London generally been a very wheelchair friendly place?
No, London is a problem. It's a huge, particularly the tubes. I'm going on a little adventure tomorrow in the tubes with David O'Sullivan, your good friend from 702,
yeah,
and a couple of my sponsor representatives who volunteered, and we're going to go through the underground to just show people how difficult it is. I do escalators on wheelchairs, and you want to just see the gasps of shock and horror that come from the public when they see a guy on an escalator in a wheelchair. But the underground is obviously, it's so old. The newer stations, they're trying to make wheelchair friendly. The Javelin train in London is very wheelchair friendly, but of course they only got a very restricted stop, so it's very difficult. The buses are all good though. You can, if you know your way around, you can hop on the buses on a wheelchair. The cabs have now got little ramps to assist, so all of that legacy stuff. But the main transport being the London Underground, very in its infancy in terms of being wheelchair friendly, and I don't think that can change, because I think a huge amount of that is those have been around forever. To try and put in lift shafts and that sort of stuff would probably be impossible.
Yeah. I mean, some of those things there, the escalators they look like a kilometer long, and there are no elevators, there are no lifts, so you have to use that, otherwise you don't get down. Yeah,
well, I went up one of those the other day on my wheelchair, and it is a mile long. And the interesting part was that the banister was not synchronized to the stairs. So by the time I got to the top and wondered why when I rode off, why my wrists were dragging on the ground, I suddenly realized what had actually happened there and why my arms had suddenly become so thin. I looked a little bit like one of those rubber men.
Oh my goodness! All right, well look, if you're going with David O'Sullivan, I do know that he is very close with Kevin McCullum while he's over there, so it might be more of a challenge getting David onto the tube than you.
Yes, I would suspect so. I have actually had the pleasure of seeing both David and Kevin at various stages in a 24-hour cycle. Yeah. So let's not worry about what times those were, and believe you me, they are out there. They're doing a great job. All of the media that are over here, Darren, have done a fabulous job, and I hope that information is all coming back in a very good and positive light in South Africa. And on that note, regards to everybody in good old sunny RSA. And thanks for the support for Team South Africa.
Absolutely. Well, I think these Olympic Games and also the Paralympics have shown the value of Twitter, because that is certainly one way that everybody is keeping everybody up to date on what's going on. So, yeah, it's definitely the Twitter Games and the Twitter Paralympics as well. And enjoy the rest of it. Good luck to our team, and good luck to you as well. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
And thanks for having me on the show, Darren. Always nice to talk to you.
Thanks, Andy. Cheers, man. Bye-bye. Yep. Andy Scott's joining us on Balls Visual Radio this afternoon from the Paralympics.
2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays live on balls.co.za. Balls.co.za.